Non-Americans who have been to the US, what is the weirdest thing about America that Americans don't realize is weird? The amount of commercial breaks in a TV show. I find American TV to be unwatchable honestly. The cycle just breaks my brain. 3 minutes content, 1 minute cliffhanger, 2 minutes advertisement, 1 minute recap, rinse and repeat. Makes me feel like a hamster on amphetamines after 5 minutes. Hawaiian here, but I never noticed that we didn't have billboards until I moved out of Hawaii. Turns out they're illegal. So that's weird. It's awesome, cause I get unobstructed views, but still weird. They are also illegal here in Alaska. When I moved to Florida for a while last year I realized how much I liked not having them everywhere. Some European told me that it's crazy how restaurants are loud and busy, and how people eat quick and leave. For him it was normal to sit around and talk for an hour or more after eating in a restaurant. Wait, Americans seriously don't stay after finishing their meal? I mean in France, you eat before the meal, it's called the apéro, sit with your drink, eat your meal, talk, get your dessert, and then usually, you order a coffee and smoke a cigarette if you were eating outside and maybe, when it's over you can ask for the check. But also maybe restaurants are more comfortable over this side of the ocean. In Germany how are you? Is an actual question and you generally only ask it, if you know the other person. It was super hard to explain to my mum that the answer is always fine, thank you, and that cashiers don't really care about how you actually feel, when we visited the US in '08. It's strange. Even when you're with a close friend and the conversation is going to be about how you are in fact not fine, it starts as how are you? Fine, thanks. Free refills. Went to a restaurant with my dad, both German, and all of a sudden the waiter took away my drink with another perfectly good sip in it, and I must have looked pretty shocked. It was only then when my dad explained to me that you guys have free refills. I just studied for 6 months in Germany, and this is what I missed most. It was a challenge to find water for free at many restaurants, and if I ordered a drink it was the same price as in the US and I got very little. The reason we have free refills is that drinks come in large containers of syrup that get mixed with the water, and carbonation in a fountain on site. At fast food restaurants, it costs the restaurant more to provide you with a cup than the liquid that they order in bulk. This makes unlimited refills feasible, versus the individual glass bottles everyone in Europe is serving. I live in the south, and one time I was hanging out with a friend smoking by a lake in late spring, early summer. He was Egyptian and had just moved here over the winter. All of a sudden he freaked out saying he was seeing weird lights in the trees. I thought he was too high or something before I realized he meant the lightning bugs. He'd never seen them and didn't know what they were, so I started catching them and he was mind blown, that they were just a normal seasonal thing. I cannot stop laughing at this. Picturing two high people trying to figure out lightning bugs is f-king hilarious. They're such a normal part of my life, that I've never thought about someone having never seen them. Thanks for the laugh. How far apart everything is and how little is within walking distance. Location dependent, but I moved to a suburb in the Midwest as a kid and everything was so far away. Without access to a car and without reliable public transportation, it was pretty much impossible to get to a friend's house, unless they lived on your street or something, or go anywhere fun as a kid without relying on parents for a ride. Maybe things are different now with Uber and whatnot, but back then it felt pretty isolating. Canadian here, I was blown away by how weirdly social people are with strangers. Like some random guy I've never seen before just starts telling me his life story on the street. He is super normal, and doesn't seem crazy, just wants to talk to me for some reason. But then also, the dude at Wendy's is loudly threatening some 16-year-old cashier in front of like 45 people. I got the impression the Wendy's guy was uncool, but the other guy seemed normal, and where I live I generally assume that a stranger talking to me for no reason is either crazy or high. I'm not sure if they find it weird or not, but as a Canadian who has been to a few states. Gambling at gas stations in Montana. So damn weird. Edit, so I'm talking about slot/poker machines and sometimes a poker table or two in regular gas stations. Not just truck stops, not on native land. Find a street corner with some gas stations on it in Missoula, and odds are at least one of them has a mini casino inside. Complimenting strangers. When I visited the US I went to an amusement park, and a girl complimented my glasses and that was my first time getting complimented, and at the same amusement park a senior lady complimented my dad for having a beautiful family and a handsome son, lol me. I was really happy that day. American here, one huge difference I noticed being in Germany was that our toilets are puny and wimpy. The first time I flushed a toilet there it sounded like a jet engine. and I swear the air pressure dropped in the room. That is a proper toilet. For me as British bloke who only traveled for 6 weeks in the US. Your public transport is largely poor but everything is built for cars and your cars are big. You advertise not businesses but personalities a lot. So it's not that KGH estate agents will well your property, but Mary Houghton will personally sell your house, with a big picture of her face. Random people will talk to you. I'm a Londoner so it is different up north in the UK, but especially when I got to the southern states people were so happy to talk to random strangers. You guys actually sit at the bar in bars. When we go to a pub/bar, we'll go with friends and rarely interact outside of that group really. You guys jump up at that bar and just start chatting. Where homelessness is visible it's bloody awful. San Francisco was horrible for this. Me and my wife ended up making a load of extra spag bol to give to the homeless people outside our hostel, because it was shocking to us. If I think of any more I'll add them, but it's Christmas Day and I should probably talk to my family. Now that Thanksgiving and Christmas is over. The weirdest thing is that Americans will ask what you are doing for Thanksgiving. Are you going to your family etc. When you say no, they invite you to their home. I was a student, my family was thousands of miles away, and I'm happy that the local Cracker Barrel is open and looking forward to a meal there. My professor did that. Invited me to his home. I had a good time, but it was strange. I'm meeting his uncles and aunts. And one little girl threw a tantrum, I had to take her to calm her down etc. It was weird. But also wonderful. In my country things like this would never happen. You don't bring a stranger to a family event. But I'm thankful things like this happen here. Someone from my country who lives in USA told me that without a car you are crippled in America. Edit, this is just an observation, not criticism. The point of that person was that a car in US is a necessity, not an extravagance or a status symbol or STH. And a lot of people buy second-hand or used cars cause they are cheaper. Edit 2, some of the replies are heartbreaking. My sympathies. People are saying, this is a very real practical reality in America, with the exception of few places. I guess, there are challenges in every country, just different kinds. Holy shit, so me and my wife are here for our honeymoon right now. Been here for 2 days and what I've noticed. Your bathroom stalls have like a 3-foot gap at the bottom? WTF. Your food portion sizes are fucking huge. Walmart is f-king huge. Everyone wants to talk to us, we're British so we're used to sitting in uncomfortable silence. We keep making friends. I'm driving for the first time over here. You guys just turn right through red lights WTF. How TF does four-way junctions work? So far I've been going for it and hoping for the best? Seems like a med free for all to me. I actually really like how driving here works. All the roads are like bob-on straight. 10 mile back home would take me 50 minutes, here it's like 10 minutes through town. Your houses are weirdly unsecure? Like, there is a glass window pane all the way down the side of the door, I could break my hand through and unlock it in all of 3 seconds. The back doors have a tent around the pool, and the rear door is a glass sliding one. Single glazed. I could force it open with a toothpick. I ordered chips and got a weird look at a restaurant's night, the waitress brought me some Lay's chips, bless. That's all I can think of right now, we're staying in Orlando for anyone wondering. Edit, thank you all for your help and advice. We're having a lovely time so far and love America. Edit 2, some stuff I forgot, you guys are super quick on your horns. Also apparently nobody breaks in because they'll get shot, and everyone trashes Florida? It's been great so far. Canadian here, Canada's fast food restaurants have signs that fairly normal height, just enough to get the point across while not being obnoxious. Cross over to the USA, and within 5 seconds of leaving customs you can see fast food signs hundreds of feet in the air on giant poles. 2 to 3 times taller than here in Canada. Why? Also finding peanut butter and jelly swirled into the same jar was shocking. Lemonade made with real lemons, and it's like super sour but somehow sugary sweet at the same time. In Australia lemonade is the same as Sprite. So when I was there my mum and I ordered Jack Daniels and lemonade and they made it with the real lemonade, and it was awful. It was also weird because they sold pre-mixed bottles of Jack's and lemonade with the real lemonade, but in Australia you buy the same ones with Sprite lemonade. Free refills was the other big one. Everywhere has free refills as many times as you like? Never seen that before. Free refills are great for everyone, monetarily, not healthily, because you can drink however much you want without going up and paying again. And each refill only costs the company a few cents, so they will always have big profit margins. Sometimes restaurants even take a loss on some food items, hoping that people will buy a drink with it to more than make up the difference. I went to SeaWorld with my mum when I was in my mid-teens. Halfway through the show, the performer, not the whale, asked everybody in the military to stand up, and the whole crowd gave them a round of applause. They sat back down and the show continued as if nothing had happened. Couldn't imagine anything similar happening back in Blighty. Edit: this was at SeaWorld, Orlando, not San Diego. Roughly 2003/4. I lived for a long time in different places around the world, and something that I really missed when moving to a new town was the lack of a US-style bar, where it was easy for a stranger to meet people. Outside of the US, it is rare to find a bar where everyone just sits and faces the same direction, whether or not a sporting event was playing on the television. Instead, they have a more public environment, where everyone is sitting in groups at their individual tables. This makes meeting new people extremely difficult. Think about it, with the table-style bar, in order to strike up a conversation with a stranger, you literally have to approach them while they are sitting at their own table with their own friends. It's almost impossible to not look like a total freak. In a proper Cheers-style bar, you can just say some random phrase to the bartender, and if the person sitting next to you wants to talk, they'll just join in on the conversation. Basically, in non-US bars, if you aren't invited ahead of time by someone, you are damned to sit alone in some corner of the bar. I'd if anyone else feels the same as me, but the way you date things is seriously weird. Where I live, we order it like day, month, year, which is an order of succession, so when you date something in a computer or a workbook etc., it stays in order of number sequence. I was always confused about dates such as 9/11 because I thought it was the 9th of November, not the 11th of September. Why would you write dates as month, day, year? It just doesn't make sense to me. This is a super minor thing, but I went to Disney World a little over a decade ago with my family. I was wearing a Jägermeister t-shirt for the most part, and I kept getting glances and smiles from strangers throughout the trip. Went to a Waffle House afterward, and our server told me how amazing it was that I would display my faith proudly. It finally clicked and I told her I was very into native Christianity. So, what's going on in Florida? Jägermeister's a pretty popular drink like, everywhere. Australian here. I saw a MLB game last year and your reverence for your national anthem and for your veterans is next level. For the anthem, it definitely gives me a different understanding of the Colin Kaepernick kneeling thing. Edit: one thing I just remembered is the priority boarding on planes for the veterans. In Australia, one of the airlines floated this idea, but the idea was ironically rejected by the veterans themselves, as they don't want to draw additional attention to themselves. Waste. Especially of food. I've seen half of a large pizza thrown in the garbage, simple as that. Broke something? Don't even bother fixing it, just throw it into the bin and buy another. I once went to a show in Broadway. They had special themed cups for the Phantom of the Opera show that you could purchase. They were made of glass. Some of the theater bought it, consumed it, and just left it there. They didn't even bother taking it home as a souvenir. They saw it, had the urge to buy it, and just did it. That's something insane for me. As weird as it sounds, the level of customer service is amazing. Okay, there are horror stories, we've all had bad experiences, and some companies are famous for having grumpy CSRs, but in general, damn. Everyone comes across really cheery and almost genuinely willing to help you. But as I'm not used to it, I'm like no thanks, I don't really need/want anyone stood with me in the hardware store to hold my hand through the perilous world of picking up a box of screws. I'm fairly sure that's down to the tipping culture and the labor laws, that mean you can be fired at a moment's notice. The fact that nobody walks any significant distance ever for any reason. A while ago I was on holiday in New England and did a lot of wandering about for pleasure. Coming from a country which is at least 70% rambling footpaths, I thought that it might be fairly similar in rural America. Nope. I was forced to walk on minor to fairly large roads almost all the time. I had people call out to me from their gardens to ask where I was headed and reply with incredulity, when I told them it was about 10 miles away. I had a lovely old woman almost hold me hostage and force me to let her give me a lift to my destination, because she couldn't understand that I genuinely preferred to walk, and I wasn't trying to get to help from my crashed car or something. I had a really nice policeman pull up in his car next to me and ask me where I was headed, if I was lost, if he could give me a lift. He laughed at me in a "these foreigners are crazy" sort of way, when I said I was alright. I didn't quite expect to attract that much attention just by wandering about by foot. For all that, though, It was genuinely one of the nicest holidays I've ever taken myself off on, and almost all of the attention was pleasant and helpful. You did good, America, you weird place.